What's going on, guys? It's Andrew here and welcome back to another video. Ultimate Custom Night was an interesting game to say the least. Not just from the idea of going up against 50 animatronics at all max, or the absurd cutscenes, or even some of the terrible static moving jump scares, but also from the voices introduced in that game. This was a pretty ambitious moment for the fandom at the time, seeing our favorite characters get their official voices and wondering how they would sound. Well, not all the characters, but you get what I mean. However, these voices fell short in some aspects. There were many good ones introduced, but some were questionable to say the least. How the voices fit the characters is important, and if they don't, or if the performances are off, then it will come off as distracting or out of place. So today, we're gonna write down all the UCM voices from worst to best. Before we start, I want to say a few things. Number one, these are all my opinions. If you like a voice that I don't like, then that's fine. Number two, I'm only counting voices that were introduced in this game, so recurring voices like Circus Baby, Molten Freddy, Ballora, or Phone Guy will not be counted. So with all that said, sit back, relax, as we count down the UCM voices from worst to best. Coming at dead last is Rockstar Chica's voice.
That'll teach you for trying to trick this old bird.
I'm just gonna say it now, I do not like this voice. Upon hearing that job description from Scott on Voices.com, I had a feeling Rockstar Chica's voice would have been one of the weaker ones. And oh boy was I right. This redneck grouchy grandma voice just does not fit with Rockstar Chica's design at all. If you were to genuinely tell me that Rockstar Chica's voice should sound like that, then I don't know what to say to you. It's not that the voice itself is bad either, because it's not. If you ignore the fact that this is a voice for Rockstar Chica, then you've got yourself a decent voice. If you ask me, it kind of sounds like a voice classic Chica would have. I don't think I wouldn't have minded so much if it was given to her, but since it wasn't, it gets a spot as the lowest on my list, and easily my least favorite voice to come out of Ultimate Custom Night. Up next is Funtime Foxy.
It seems you couldn't make it to my show, so I brought the show to you.
I'm really mixed on Funtime Foxy's voice. I like the Circus Raymaster X personality that Scott gave him, and the actor delivers it perfectly, but the one thing that holds this voice back for me is the filter. Let me ask you, how would you feel if I constantly spoke like I was speaking through multiple megaphones? Sorry if that hurt your ears, but you get where I'm coming from. This filter doesn't sound good at all. Now, I get what they were going for. They wanted Funtime Foxy to have a filter unique to his own to give him more character. This has been done numerous times before, some good examples being G1 Soundwave from Transformers and Alistair from Hazbin Hotel. However, the difference is that those filters actually sounded, well, good. With Funtime Foxy, it feels like they took the bass and boosted it up, and nothing else was done from there. Yes, Funtime Foxy's voice is meant to be allowed to be heard, but this is really excessive. It's definitely a unique filter, just not for the right reasons. In other words, I like the voice itself, but I'm not a fan of the effects used here. Up next is Happy Frog. I was debating on where this voice would go, and I originally was going to put this voice very high on my list, but after listening to it for this video, it hit me like a truck. Her voice is only acceptable in small doses.
I bet you weren't expecting me, were ya? Turn your back for 1 second and I'm like, wazoo! Ninja skills!
While this type of voice does fit Happy Frog's character, its bubbly levels are up to a point where it gets under my skin. Yes, her voice is supposed to be annoying, but an annoying voice shouldn't annoy the viewer to the point where they want the character to shut up. It is possible for a character to have a bubbly, upbeat voice and have it be tolerable, but Happy Frog's voice is too much of these things. If it was kept to a certain degree, then I would have put her voice a lot higher up. Coming up is the little demon herself, Dee Dee.
Uh-oh, how unfortunate. Uh-oh, how unfortunate. I'm gonna do a sneaky thing and throw a new contender in the ring.
I can see why people would get annoyed by this voice. Her gameplay is insufferable as it is, and that high-pitched voice only adds to it. The only credit I will give this voice is that it does match the character, but that is the closest to a positive that Dee Dee is gonna get from me. Coming up next, we have Fredbear. I Don't have much to say. This is the UCN voice I feel the most neutral towards. I don't love it, I don't hate it, but I don't have any feelings towards it. The decoding aspect of the whole voice is all that's going for it. Here's a fun fact. This voice was originally intended for Freddy, but was scrapped and repurposed for Fredbear. That's why Fredbear's lines sound like something a FNAF 1 character would say. Up next is Wither Bonnie.
Time to face the consequences of your behavior.
This voice is just okay. It's nothing to write home about, but I can't say it's bad either. It does sound a bit generic when compared to other Bonnie voices, and the effects are kind of overkill, where it's sometimes hard to understand what he's saying upon first encounter. I understand he's missing a face and is in a clear state of disrepair, but that doesn't mean the voice should be incomprehensible. But other than that, I'd say this voice is alright in my books. Next up is Trash and the Gang.
Psst, I have something to tell you.
What else is there for me to say other than this voice sounds like it came straight out of an ASMR video? It's soothing, but that's it. Moving on. Up next is Rockstar Bonnie.
Life's so blue, you know I've been true, and now I'll make slivers out of you.
I consider this voice just decent. I like the Frank Sinatra direction here. It's unique compared to other voices, and I do like that he says his lines in song. However, the filter used here is pretty odd. Don't get me wrong, it's not annoying like Fontaine Foxy's, but when compared to the other Rockstar voices, it's jarring. You have Rockstar Freddy who has a standard robot filter, you have Rockstar Foxy and Rockstar Chica who lack filters, and then you have Rockstar Bonnie who sounds like his voice has seen better days. I get it was done to make him sound more haunting, but it's too echoey, if that's even a word. Again, not a bad voice, just not one of my favorites personally. Up next we have Withered Chica.
I have seen him, the one you shouldn't have killed.
This is another one of those voices where the voice itself is pretty good, but the filter is Voice-wise, it does seem to have more personality and charisma than Withered Bonnie's voice, and it does sound like something that would fit Withered Chica's appearance. As for her filter, though, again, it's a bit much. I get what they were going for. They were trying to make the voice sound broken, which makes sense considering that gaping mouth of hers, and I will say it is unique, but like Withered Bonnie's filter, she could be hard to understand when first hearing her lines. And on the side note, I can imagine this filter being rough on the ears for headphone users. Again, I get that these filters are supposed to represent their decay, but you should still have your voice be comprehensible. Despite this, I still like Withered Chica's voice, and the filter also helps to make it stand out despite its imperfections. Up next is the attention-seeking vain chicken herself, Funtime Chica.
Say cheese!
While I don't like her mechanic in this game, I do quite like her voice. It's very bubbly and cheery, but not downright annoying like Happy Frog's. It's a good balance for me, and Becky Stripton did a good job on capturing her personality. The only reason why she's not higher on the list is because the voice, while good, is not the type that will stick with me like some of the other voices. I can think of others that are better than this one. Next up is Rockstar Freddy.
Please deposit 5 coins. Please deposit 5 coins.
I personally find Rockstar Freddy to be one of the most forgettable variants of Freddy to date. However, this voice puts him above 4th Closet Freddy by a little bit. I like the fact that it sounds like an ATM given his mechanic in this game, and the robotic filter bumps it up a few. It at least sounds natural, unlike Rockstar Bonnie. But of course, the one thing that makes this voice memorable is please deposit 5 coins, a line that will become engraved in your brain after playing this game. I also like how it becomes more agitated the longer you stall him, in which he kills you and then you're greeted by the same line except more hostile.
Please deposit 5 coins.
Geez, somebody is greedy. To me, this voice brought a pretty bland version of Freddy and added a bit more flavor to him. Up next we have Rockstar Foxy.
Yar, who touched me bird?
What I like about this voice is how it sets itself apart from other Foxy voices, which is something they all do when you think about it. You have classic Foxy with his stereotypical pirate slaying, or Fontaine Foxy's captivating charisma, but with Rockstar Foxy, he still has that pirate slang to him, but with a softer tone. It still fits the character, and on top of that, it sounds really pleasant to listen to. It's this type of voice that led me to make Rockstar Foxy the sympathetic type of the Rockstar group in Rockstar Riot. Probably my favorite voice of the Rockstars if I'm honest. Coming back to the mediocre melodies, and runner-up is Ned Bear.
I was just waiting for you to drop your guard.
This voice fits like a glove. From the start, I always imagined Nedbear having a goofy, dopey personality, but the wisecracking hillbilly personality we ended up with works just as well. He still sounds dim-witted, but not to annoying levels like Happy Frog's voice, as I mentioned earlier, and it's fun to listen to as a result. A solid voice for Nedbear in my books. Next up we have Pig Patch.
If you sit by the river long enough, you will see the body of your enemy float by.
This voice was unexpected, but not in a bad way. Unlike Rockstar Chica, the old sounding southern-like voice fits Pig Patch quite well, and I think it's funny how he's the type to use proverb and quotes after killing his victims, and showing to be unimpressed afterwards. Fun fact, Pig Patch and Foxy share the same voice actor in this game, and you honestly can't tell the difference. That's how diverse Chris McCullen is. And also, who can forget that banjo riff? Well, I'll be damned. Up next we have Orville Elephant.
Now is my time to shine.
This is basically how I imagine him to sound. It's not as enthusiastic as I would have pictured, but to be fair, Orville said himself he doesn't get out much. On top of that, his London accent just sounds really pleasant to listen to. I couldn't imagine a better voice for Orville. Coming up is the last of the mediocre melodies, Mr. Hippo.
It seems that you have met your end. What a pity. You know, I don't feel too bad about it, though. After all, if it weren't me, it would have just been one of the others, I guess. I'm honestly just glad to be out of those air ducts. You know, it's not easy for a hippopotamus to fit up there.
Okay, I'm not gonna play that whole voice clip, you get it now. Out of all the mediocre melody voices, this one is easily my favorite, not just from the pleasant sounding Boston accent, but from the stories that are told by this character. They're interesting to listen to and give Mr. Hippo so much more personality. Although, I will admit that these stories are, while they're nice to listen to the first time, they begin to drag on for too long after the 4th or 5th time. Despite this, I still love Mr. Hippo's voice and I hope to hear it again in the future. Coming up next, we have Lefty.
I'm so glad that I found you. Let me make room for you.
This voice has a very cryptic demeanor to it that I really like. Technically, this is the puppet itself speaking within the Lefty animatronic, and she sounds so stressed and worn out, as if she's been through years of hopelessness, neglect, and misdirection. She even shows satisfaction once she finds someone who can suffer with her. It's really tragic when you think about it, and that's why I really like Lefty's voice. It's cryptic, but it's got a tragedy to it once you know the context that I really like. Next up, we got Nightmare BB.
Flash that light on the light. It can't save you now.
This might be a hot take, but I really like this voice. Sure, I don't think it was entirely needed for Nightmare BB to have a new voice, considering he technically already had one in FNAF 4. But I do think the voice that replaced it is a vast step up from before. He sounds very Gremlin-esque, which I think does match the character's appearance greatly, and it still manages to sound quite creepy. Some have said this voice would have suited better for Plushtrap, which I do agree with, and while a part of me would have preferred that, I still think this voice works just fine for Nightmare BB. Some may find his voice a bit too deep, but honestly, the FNAF 4 voice already sounded deep to begin with. Plus, he's a nightmare. He's not meant to sound kid-like. Overall, I really like Nightmare BB's voice. Just missing out on the top 10, we have the puppet.
I don't hate you, but you need to stay out of my way.
I've noticed a decent number of people expressing their distaste towards his voice, and I don't really get it. Sure, the puppet's voice is not the best to come from this game, but it's far from bad. The puppet is possessed by a girl after all, so I think it would make sense for it to have a voice like this. As for the voice itself, it's genuinely good. It sounds believable as a little girl, and she is effective in conveying a vengeful, haunting tone. I really like Puppet's voice, and I think it gets too much hate. Kicking off the top 10, we have Nightmare Fredbear.
This time, there is more than an illusion to fear.
Out of all the Nightmare voices we've gotten, this one caught me off guard the most because it was not how I imagined Nightmare Fredbear's voice to be. However, that is not a bad thing. It sounds effectively creepy, and I do like how a child's voice is briefly heard during the voice lines, which I can only think is meant to be a parallel to the Bite of 83. Do I wish his voice was a little deeper? Yeah, a little bit, but I think it's still a great voice that stands out from the others. Next up is Nightmarian. this voice is just so good, man. It really does sound like a demon from hell is here to claim your soul, and he clearly gets a pleasure out of it. I also like how the voice stutters in a glitchy manner as he talks. Some might find the voice trying too hard to sound scary, which I do kind of see, but I think it makes sense considering the character Nightmarian is supposed to be, and it fits regardless. Up next is Jacko Chica.
Did things get really hot in here, or is it just me?
Before UCN, Jacko Chica was another one of those forgettable variants that just existed. But once she got her own voice, it helped to lift her quite a bit. I love how sadistic and ruthless she sounds, and the effects really add to the creepiness. It can be rough on the ears, but it's not so bad. This voice also returned in Special Delivery, and it was just as good as it was before. I also like how she's depicted as a sore loser when defeated, which I find really funny, and it adds more character. You can tell the voice actress has a lot of fun with the role. Man, if only Jack O'Bonney got a voice in AR. Just imagine what his personality would have been. Next up is the last Chica voice on this list, Toy Chica.
Where's my beak? Lodged in your forehead, of course.
Yeah, they knew what they were doing with this voice, and they definitely succeeded in giving us a great Toy Chica voice. This voice technically debuted in FNAF World, but it was a lot more cheerful.
Alright, I'm ready for action!
In UCN, she still sounds very youthful, but in a more flirtatious, psychotic way, which does help to make her sound a little more creepy and fitting for the character. The voice does return for Special Delivery, but she's a little more sardonic this time around, which again is fine with me and adds more character to her. Next up we have Nightmare Freddy.
I have always been hiding in your shadow.
There's not much I can say about his voice that I haven't already said about the previous Nightmare voices, other than it sounds effectively creepy, the filter is a nice touch, and it's an overall fitting voice for this iteration of Freddy. I also like how Nightmare Freddy is portrayed as poetic after killing his victims, which helps to set him apart from the other Nightmares, who are already cold-hearted and malicious on their own. Kicking off the top 5, we have Nightmare.
You will not be spared. You will not be saved.
This voice is fantastic. The deep monster tone is so ideal for the character, and it sounds exactly how I imagine Nightmare's voice to be. There's a reason this voice is on the top 5. Next up is Music Man.
You hear that? It's the sweet, sweet sound of your eternal silence.
For some reason, before UCN dropped, I didn't think Music Man would get a voice. I don't know why I thought this back then, but I'm glad he did, because this voice is just a lot of fun. His energetic, upbeat voice is on the same level of appeal as Funtime Freddy's voice, and it is on annoying levels like, again, Happy Frog's voice. Music Man was already a cool character design-wise, but his voice and personality only made him better. Next up is Toy Freddy.
That's what you get for leaving me hanging!
Oh man, do I love this voice. It just sounds like what you expect a giant fluffy teddy bear to be, and I do think that it matches Toy Freddy's overall design. I know some might find this voice a bit annoying, but I think it's important to keep in mind that the toy animatronics were designed to be super kid-friendly, so realistically, Toy Freddy would have a voice like this. He speaks in a very goofy, childish voice, but not in a way that annoys the hell out of me, unlike Toy Bonnie's AR voice.
Why ever is this creature hiding from little old me?
Shut up! Just shut up, you idiot!
Much like Toy Chica's voice, Toy Freddy's UCN voice did return for Special Delivery, and he's still very goofy sounding, but the fact that he's way more oblivious to the idea that he's taunting the player and even questioning why they aren't responding after he kills them is pretty funny to me. Overall, this is a voice that I think fits Toy Freddy well, unlike his movie voice.
You left me to die. All of you did.
Buddy, you are not Glamrock Freddy. Drop the edginess, dude. Next up we have Foxy.
Arr, I came for ye booty. That be treasure, you know.
Yet another banner of a voice. Everything I expect Foxy's voice to be is here. The deep gravelly voice? Check. The charisma of a pirate? Check. While it does kind of annoy me that Foxy was the only FNAF 1 character to receive a voice, I couldn't care less, as this is such a great voice for such an iconic character. Last but not least, and my favorite voice to come out of this game, is Mangle.
I get to play take apart and put back together. You won't feel a thing.
Mangle's voice is as perfect as it can be. I love how the voice uses several different pitches, this being both male and female. It's very indistinguishable, which is clearly playing into the running gag of Mangle's gender being ambiguous. I also love the filter used here. It's not too glitchy or too rough on the ears. It's just perfect. I think that's how I describe Mangle's voice. It's perfection. I almost wish this voice returned for the movie, but hey, it is what it is. Alright guys, that's all the time I have for this video, and I'll see you all next time. Bye bye!